Who's ready?
I'm ready.
What number are we on? 38. Holy
Yeah.
sh**.
38.
If we get to 100, do we get a letter from the Queen?
I think that we should.
Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damien Keys here. Welcome to the hashtag Ask Damo show, where you get to ask questions about music, music industry, business, social media, and we will do our best to answer them. And if not, we'll go and find someone else who knows better than us. With me, as always, is Melissa.
Hi.
How's your week?
I'm good. Well, my week was good, even.
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah. My week was good.
Yeah, not good at answering questions.
Everything was good. We have questions, which is good, indeed. And we've got posts, which we're going to go through. While we do this, we should look at the posters growing.
We're balling this
You do
week.
them
Yeah.
Oh
my.
So the one of the questions this week, which I'm not going to spend too much time answering, was from Nick. It was about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Oh, cool.
Well, it is quite topical at the moment.
It is, yeah. Look at this. What we got?
This is Jay from All Hail HYENA.
All Hail
sending
HYENA.
some goodies.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, hello. This is a goodie bag we've got over here.
Goodie bags. Check it out.
Oh, look at that. Awesome.
That is definitely going on my keychain.
Oh, cool.
Because I have got a bottle opener, which is like from New York. It's just too big and clumsy. So, HOLLOWSTAR, thank you very much for that. I don't smoke,
cool.
but I will probably burn stuff.
They've sent over a load of songbooks for their songs. How cool was that?
Oh, that's really
cool.
So all hail HYENA, we will get all the stuff on.
Yeah, got more albums.
Oh, look at the goodies.
Oh, business card, awesome. That's
Guys, for these bands, we are going to make sure you are on the wall. All hail HYENA, we will absolutely make sure you're on the wall. HOLLOWSTAR, we're going to make sure you are on the wall. Amazing.
Give me the tough ones to open.
If you have got merch, if you've got stuff that you want to get featured, we'll do pictures with t-shirts, we'll get CDs on the wall, we'll do some features.
Oh, it's like Christmas.
Then we will do that. This is the place where you can actually get your stuff done for
a little smaller present in
a
the big present. Yeah.
What you got? What's this?
This is from Good Foxy.
Good Foxy.
Oh, cool.
Hi, Damien has requested, we're sending you some stuff. You always enjoy your videos, cheers, and find them interesting, informative, and entertaining. Here is Good Foxy's debut album. More importantly, here is Good Foxy's debut album. That's a lovely album cover. I'm liking that at the moment. People are actually putting a lot of time and effort into the artwork on the albums. I think people are starting to realise that it does make a difference because this is now merch, and so therefore it needs to be more than just music, and that is very, very well done. Love that.
Awesome.
That'll go on the wall. And a t-shirt as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
Did you see a t-shirt?
I'd like to see a t-shirt.
Very cool.
FP,
Nice
Insta, etc. Goodfoxy.co.uk. Love that. Absolutely love that. And lastly,
what we got?
What have we got here? Tell you what we've got here. Look at this. So our friend Connor Wells has not been very well. He's been in hospital. Hence this. And he's lovely, Connor. You're that one. But he's got his new EP coming out. He's got his new stuff, and this is going to be his new artwork. So he wanted to show us off. Isn't that lovely? So
sneak peek.
If that's in focus. What's been amazing, if you don't know Connor Wells, Connor keeps you updated every single day with what he's doing via either Instagram or Facebook. At the moment, I don't know, he is still in hospital, but he's been in hospital. And every day, I just watch his little updates of him in hospital.
Yeah,
this is what I'm eating today.
Very poorly, isn't he?
So yeah, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, amazing. CD keeps hiding behind your shoulder. Yes, it does. Where is he? There he is. So new one coming up. We'll get that on the wall. But yeah, thanks, Connor. Hope you're feeling better soon.
Get well soon.
Part of the community, everyone else, those 4 bands, everyone get on there. We'll put all the links below. We need you to go in and just add them, and then those bands, we need you to add everyone else. This is a community-based thing. This is about building up the community. So thank you very much. Right, if you've got any stuff, then send it through. The address will be below. But we have some work to do.
Yes, we do. Let's get started. So we got this one emailed in from Angelina.
Okay.
So there's a couple of questions. So the first one is, I want to know how do music managers make money once they've introduced an artist with a booking agent? and then I'll hit you with the second question.
Okay, so how do managers make money? Let's just go through that first. So managers used to make money by just taking, the general rule was by taking 20%.
Yeah.
That was kind of the way that managers did it back in the day. And so what would happen was a manager would get involved and a manager would say, right, you make this much money, I'll take 20%, and that's how a manager would kind of live. The problem is the music industry then changed and it became harder for bands to make money, and so where's the incentive for really good managers to get involved? So if a band makes, for example, £100,000 a year, which is very, very tough to do, but if a band makes £100,000 a year, then even then a manager taking 20% is going to be 20 grand. But if a band makes 20 grand a year, the manager's going to be taking not enough to live off. So all of a sudden a manager's like, well, how do I make that work? And also it depends how many people are in the band, because how many people are in your band? 5 people in your band. Yeah. So if the manager takes 20% and then from there, from the 80% that's left, that gets divvied up 5 ways. So you're all on, 15, 16% each of the money. And you make, even if you make 50 grand a year, you haven't got enough to live off. If you make 20 grand a year, you haven't got enough to live off. So
it's already promising for me.
And I don't want to paint a gloomy picture, but from a manager's point of view, what managers started to do is they started to say, well, do you know what? Rather than taking 20%, what we will do is we will work on a retainer basis, because bands need managers, but what's in it for a manager other than fun? And a band should be, it should be a team effort. So what tends to happen now a lot of the time is lots of managers will be paid on a retainer, just like you'd pay for press and PR, or you'd pay for a session musician. You put them on a retainer and you say, we will pay you a certain amount a month. And then so lots of managers nowadays will manage 3, 4, 5 bands at, let's say that those bands will pay them £500 a month, for example. So they'll manage 5 bands a month, £500 a month, and they'll get 2.5 grand a month. That will then pay their mortgage. That pays their way and allows them to work on this as a full-time job. So that tends to be a new way. Well, that tends to be a way nowadays where managers can actually afford to do it. Otherwise, managers, lots of up-and-coming young managers are in the same boat as the musicians. What they tend to do is they tend to say, well, we won't make any money and you won't make any money, and then it is a bit of a team thing. But then what happens in a year's time where it does start making some money? At what point does the manager start making money? So it's got to work for everybody. That's really, really important. So then if you introduce something like introducing an act with a booking agent, then again you've got more fees. Now a booking agent won't usually work on a retainer. A booking agent will work on taking a percentage of the work that they get. But you can start to see in just that very, very small example of how difficult it is to actually start making money because of how many people are involved. So I start a business and I start Damien Key's teeth brushing services. I'm in charge, my business. If I can build it, I can bring people in, I'm paying them a wage, but then once all's said and done, everything else, I'm in control, it's my money. That's the way it works. When it's a band, then you start having so many people involved from the start. Like if I started a band and I said, right, we're going to build this band, and then with the profits we're going to split it. If I said we were going to split it, imagine if I started a business and I split it 6 ways. I'm like, oh my God, how much money are we going to have to turn over before we actually make any money? So it's a very, very difficult model, and it's very difficult for managers. And there are a lot of really, really good managers out there that cannot survive on taking 20% of nothing. With the hope that at some point, if they're good at their job, at some point the band will make money and then they'll be able to take 20%. Even then, 20% of what? So a lot of bands do work on retainers. So, because if you think about it, how many bands are out there compared to how many managers are out there? Supply and demand. There's a lots of bands.
Keeps it a lot more consistent.
Absolutely, as well. So that tends to be nowadays how managers make their money. And there are other ways of doing it. I mean, the good thing now is there are no rules. So a manager might come in and just say, I just loved what you do and I want to be a part of it. A manager might come in and say, I can absolutely make this work, or I can definitely take this to a certain level, but I'm taking 50%. You can get all sorts of different agreements, but it depends on what the manager's going to do. And that's why it needs to be something that works for the band and works for the manager, because some bands are amazingly organized, are creative, and are really good at self-managing. Other bands are just amazingly great at the music and terrible at everything else, and they want someone to come in and just be mum and dad. So, you know, and then the second part of the question.
So the second part is, how do managers find their artists paid gigs if they're starting out? So
first,
a similar vein.
A similar vein, and then so that is then onto the assumption that the managers are going to find the artists paid gigs.
Yeah.
So, you know, the manager is there to manage the band, and you know, and therefore the manager is there to plug, in my opinion, to plug in the holes.
Yeah.
So the manager may help get the gigs, but they may do none of that, and it all depends on what the strengths of the band are and what the strengths of the manager are. And if you put them together, if you've got someone in that band who is just absolutely amazing at creating and social media, then that person is going to be doing that. You know, you want to keep the costs down as low as possible, and one of the things that a manager is going to do is going to be to help with that. But I wouldn't see a manager as sitting there just getting gigs all day. I wouldn't see that. I mean, you know, for me, if I were to manage a band, I would sit down with 3, 4, 5 people, and I would give people jobs to do. I would be managing. I'd say, right, I need you to take control of getting us a tour. I need you to take care of the artwork. I need you, whether it's
delegation.
Absolutely. And whether it's you doing the artwork or finding someone to do the artwork so that you're just responsible for making it happen, that's fine. But someone's taking an overarching sort of managerial game of the whole thing. So should a manager find their artists pay gigs? Possibly. Is that going to be a definite prerequisite for the job? No, absolutely not. Yeah. So it all depends.
Okay, cool. So question 2 is from Paolo. What do you think about Fiverr for music promotion?
I love Fiverr.
You know, I know people that have done this.
It's brilliant.
I think it's one.
You know, this is why I constantly bang on about how amazing a time it is because you are in control. And when I say in control, I don't just mean in control as in you have the power to make decisions, but people constantly say it's all right for you because of money. I don't have money and I don't have time and stuff. But there are so many other people out there that you can utilize their skills and utilize their talents. And now, for the first time in the last bazillion years, you can find them instantly. Yeah. And Fiverr is one of those amazing platforms. If anyone doesn't know, Fiverr is Fiverr.com. And Fiverr is kind of like eBay for creatives. Kind of. That's a good way of putting it. So if you want a new artwork done and you are like me, you are completely and utterly talentless, then what you can do is you can say, well, I want someone else to do it. I don't know anyone to do it. You can put a job up on Fiverr. There's another one called Upwork, I think. And you can say, this is what I'm looking for. And people will bid on it. Or you can go and find specific people and you can say, I want you to design me artwork. And there are lots of, and the reason why it's called Fiverr is because most of the stuff on there, or when it started out, most of the stuff on there was charged at $5. So whether you wanted a voiceover or some artwork or a website design, you could get the whole thing done for $5 because there are people in different parts of the world that are prepared to work for that. So, and part of that's because they want the experience. Part of it is because they live in a horrible place and they and $5 to them is worth it. Whatever their motivations are, it means that you can then get that work done. Now, are you going to get an absolutely world-class piece of artwork for $5? Probably not. I mean, you might do, but probably not. However, it just goes to show that what you can achieve for a very, very small amount of money, because $5 in this country is going to be what, £3, $3.50, something like that. I don't know what the currency is right now. But you know, to get artwork done, should you need that, you know, or even if you say, well, my artwork's too important, I'm not paying $5 for that, no problem. What about a Christmas card? All the things that you can do.
You can build it up as well.
Absolutely,
$20.
Yeah, you can pay as much as you want. You can pay $1,000 if you want to. But there's other things you can do. You know, if you wanted someone to just design you a Christmas card, so you know, or if you just said, here's a band picture, I want to make that band picture into like cartoons, just because it's fun and we want something for our social media. You can then start doing stuff like that every single day because you want to. It's just creatives who are specialists in a field. So I think Fiverr is amazing. And for music promotion, what's really good is if you are looking, I just did a video this week, which was my top 10 ideas for creating content. So people keep coming to me and with millions of questions, and I'm thinking, just make content. And then people say, well, what should I do? What content shall I put out there? And it's anything that's going to just give a little bit of value to your audience. And it doesn't have to be value that they're going to take away forever. It's just something that they might look at and go, that's cool. That's literally it. Something that they might go, oh, that's cool. I like that. That's all you needed for that day. Yeah. It's not something that's going to change. They don't literally need to go, oh, you've changed my life. Yeah. Oh, my God. That is not what we're trying to do. I mean, well, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. But, if we can just get something where I'm scrolling up and I go, oh, done my job. That's fine. Yeah. So, and Fiverr's a great thing for that. Yeah. So
you can find all sorts. I mean, I know people that have found like YouTubers on Fiverr that'll do like $5 shout outs for them and all sorts. So it's definitely a good.
Well, there's a great one. What a brilliant one. If you can find that, if you can go and find a YouTuber who's got 1,000 subscribers that just says, give me a Fiverr and I'll put a little link on my description to yours, then, I mean, influencer marketing is the best way of actually spreading the word. Yeah. The reason why everyone knows that, but nobody does it, is because it's really difficult. Yeah. And not only difficult, because if you actually ask people, a lot of people will say, I'll do something. Like, for example, we have this. Every single day, without fail, someone will send me something and say, can you promote this on your page? And I have to go, no, obviously not. Yeah. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't just promote people on my page because that's not what the page is for. And if I open that floodgate, if I open the door, it's gonna be huge. Everyone's gonna be like, promote my band, promote my band. But there are little things that I'm trying to do. So for example, I would like, on my Instagram, I would like to promote one band's, it needs to be a Spotify link. I'm not interested in anything else, but if you're on Spotify, I will promote your Spotify song or single, one of them every day. Sometimes two if I'm feeling generous. Who knows? But we do stuff like this. Yeah. We do stuff like the community stuff. We do stuff like the t-shirts. So it's difficult, but people will do it. So if people are going to say, chuck me a Fiverr and I'll whack it in front of 1,000, I'd do that. Yeah, absolutely. Because if I could get another 5-6 subscribers for the sake of £3, for the sake of a can of Coke and a Mars bar, if you live in London. So yeah, a Fiverr for music production, and I just go on it and I just start being creative. And if there's certain things that you can't do and other people can for the sake of small amounts of money, then I would.
All right, cool.
Okay. So question 3.
That was nice. That was
nice. Jinx, you can't talk for the rest of the show.
What am I gonna do? Cool, so this one's from Jake. In reference to band activity on a page, what do you think to posting statuses as if you were talking to your mates compared to the more professional, serious posts? When should you be transitioning from one to the other? Okay,
so I'm going to sum this up in a slightly different way, but effectively the question is, how should you be talking to people on your Facebook, and should it be slightly more professional, and should it be slightly more jovial, fun, friendly, and community-wise? I'm more of a fan of the fun, friendly thing, because what people do with social media is they use what I call their phone voice, and everything's very professional. So when I was a kid, and you had like actual phones where you couldn't take them off the wall, and my mum, if she's watching, she'll disagree, but my mum would pick up the phone and start talking, and I'd be looking at her thinking, who is that? Hello? I'm like, who are you talking to?
I was the same with a work laugh.
Yeah. It's just like, are you talking to the Queen? What's going on? And people do that on their social media. And then she'd get off the phone and start talking. And I'd be like, what happened? What just happened there? And people do that with their social media. And so, I'm not saying you need to get on there and you need to swear and you need to just, and you need to just be the whole you. But people buy from people, and and we also live in a time now where, your social media is not full of 95-year-old people that will take offense. Like, people who are 50 to 60 grew up with the Sex Pistols. Like, that was pretty offensive back in the day. So, even though, I'm not going to go into the Logan Paul thing, but like, I wasn't offended when I saw it. I was like, well, that's a dick move. That's a stupid thing to do. But I wasn't there being like, oh, that's going to affect me. I was just like, that was a dick move. People aren't taking offense that much themselves. So when you're putting stuff out on social media, yes, you've got a certain area of responsibility for your own rap that you need to actually look after for your own reputation. But on the whole, I want you, is what I want. I don't want phone voice you. And I think when you're in phone voice, you're more likely to be in promotion mode or marketing mode. Whereas when you are just generally thinking of your audience as people, when I'm posting stuff, there are people in my head that I know will be watching it that I'm thinking about. And I think that's really, really important. So I'm thinking about people like Connor, and I'm thinking what he's going through with his band, or I'm thinking, and there's literally names that keep popping up, like I said about Nick or Sean, or there's loads of them, and they just pop up, and I'm like, oh, this would help this person. I'm not trying to think of it as one audience. I'm trying to think about what that audience is made up, involved in, and how I can help you, because everyone's got similar struggles. So I personally, I think the way people use especially Facebook, but the way people do it is all very, very professional. And I think you can afford to actually have a bit of fun with it. And I think when you actually get someone that lets their hair down and does make it a bit more fun, and again, it does depend on demographic and audience because of what you're trying to achieve. But if you are trying to have fun, which is what a band is, most bands aren't politically minded. Most bands are trying to have fun and enjoy what they do. When you do let your hair down, your audience will probably respond because they're in that consumption mode. When people watch my content, I would say, I don't have as much freedom to have fun. I can a little bit, but at the same point, this is more educational. Yeah. So, people are here going, I'm trying to figure this out.
It's a different kind of product.
Yeah, they don't want me going, like that isn't going to work.
I think you should.
I think I should too. But I want to make it, I want it to be fun and entertaining. I don't want it to be just like, I don't want to sound like a teacher. Yeah. I want us to be going through this together. So, but I think in a band, you can have even more freedom to do this sort of stuff. So for me, I think stop with the phone voice and actually talk to your audience like you're talking to individual people, because they are. That's what we are. Yeah. I watch a lot of your bands, and I want the real you. I want everything. I want a bit more warts and all.
Yeah, it's a bit more real, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. We are on to the question 4 from Finbar. So question 4 is, when it comes to bands having names the same as another from a different country, etc., what are the actual legal ramifications and issues that could arise, and what actions would you advise? Okay,
so
interesting one.
Yes, so if you've got a band name, now more than ever, it is easier to check these things. So when you start a band, the first thing you should be doing is you should be getting on Google. And another way to do it, as well as getting on Google, is there are now apps for bands. So for example, touring bands a lot of them will register up for apps like Band in My City and those sorts of apps that when they're on gigs, you can see when they're coming to your town. So now more than ever, you can find out if there is another band name. And so a biggest part of this, before we talk about any legal ramifications, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't go into too much legal ramifications, but the first thing is you just want something which is findable. That's the most important thing. So before we start worrying about the legals and all that sort of stuff, if someone comes to the computer going, I saw this band last night, they were called Agoraphobic Nosebleed, right? Wow. It's an actual band. It's an actual band. I used to be into Pig Destroyer, but they got a bit mainstream, sold out a bit, so now I'm into Agoraphobic Nosebleed. But how many bands are going to be called Agoraphobic Nosebleed?
I'm thinking probably not many.
I'd say one.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have a problem,
Yeah,
And so if you can do that, then you know that facebook.com/agoraphobic nosebleed, you are sorted. Yeah. You are totally fine. If you are a band and you are called, Oasis, for example, or The Edge. How many bands used to be called The Edge or something like that? It's like, oh god. Then you can go and find these bands, and so then it's a case of, do you want to actually just get through the noise? Because what you don't want is, you don't want to be called The Edge UK 123. Like, that's not what you want from your Facebook, from your YouTube. You want to be original. You want to be able to find it. But should you have started the band back in the day, and now there are other bands, you do get into a bit of this awkward thing of when a band starts to actually build, then who owns the rights? Now, I think I'm right in saying that you can't copyright a band name, but you can trademark a band name, I think is the way it works. And so this would stop it. So this would stop, for example, imagine if I was like, I'm going to start a new band. I'm really, really excited. Do you want to be in my band? I'm going to call it Guns N' Roses. You're going to be like, firstly, it's not going to help me because I'm definitely not going to make my way through the social media. But even if I missed all that, then Guns N' Roses are going to have something to say about it. They're going to knock on the door and say, I don't think you can do that.
Kind of have that already.
Yeah, we kind of got that covered. And that has been the case. So, there are littered in history. There's a band called the Choir Boys. That there was a band in America called the Choir Boys, and they became the UK Choir Boys. There was Little Mix, who were Rhythmics, and then they couldn't have that name. Then there were bands where the entire band split up. And this leads you on to the next point is when your band splits up, who gets the trademark? So for example, if you trademark your band name, so you say, well, Stranger Girl, that's my, and you trademark it, then you hold the trademark. Okay. So then you say, great, I'm going to go and sack all you and just go and start it again. But if your bass player says, don't worry, I'll sort that out, and then you fall out with him, then you got potential problems. And that's where it happens with lots of bands where they'll split up and one band will say, well, hang on, no, we're the band. And the other band will say, no, actually you find we're the band. And then you have this awkward kind of like, who is the band and how does it work? Who gets the name? Yeah, because the name, when you've built it up, is a big part of the brand.
Absolutely.
So from a trademark point of view, and this is another one of those examples of when you should do it, because if you just get into a band and this is one of the first things that you do, I mean, you know what it's like. You get into a band, the band doesn't work. And if you're doing that every time, it does cost money. And also, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that when it comes to trademark, I think you trademark different industries. So I think you pay something like 50 or 100 quid per industry. So for example, Oasis are allowed to make music. The band Oasis are allowed to make music, but they're not allowed to make drinks. Yeah. Because it crosses over. Yeah. Because the trademark of Oasis is the food and drink market. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that Oasis, the drink market, aren't allowed to put out an album. Yeah. Because of the trademark. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. So I don't think you just trademark it and just say, right, from here on in, agoraphobic, nosebleed is just off limits for everybody. So, I think when it comes to trademarking it, what you don't want to do is just like we talked about PRS last week, there's always going to be things that you can spend money on in order to ensure the future of the band. But in my opinion, it's always safer to say, let's just make this work first. All time, all effort, all money into building it. If you have a band like Agoraphobic, I love the name, by the way. If you have a band like Agoraphobic Nosebleed, by the time you're on Spotify, by the time that you're all over social media, by the time you've got your 100,000 strong fan base, I'm pretty sure you've got a good enough case to say, I think you'll find we were here first. Yeah. So, yes, there's legal ramifications, and I'm not a lawyer, but first and foremost, let's spend time on making this thing absolutely amazing with an audience. And you know what? The absolute worst comes to the worst is you have an audience who are very, very much behind you, and the worst comes to the worst is you go, oh, we didn't see that coming. For some reason, we have to change the name. Yeah. The audience don't go, well, in that case, I'm out.
I know people have done that. Sometimes
it happens. But what you don't want to do is just go, right, hang on, we've started a new band. The first 3 months is going to be, right, sign up for PRS, PPL, we've got to do insurance. Oh my God, we've got to do, we've got to do this and that. And all of a sudden, you're spending any money that you've got on potentially just insuring the band for 10 years' time on the off chance that the band makes it. And there's a lot of bands out there who aren't making any money yet. So it's not the thing I would do first, in my opinion. Yeah. It's something that more importantly, I would try and find a name which no one else is going to copy, and then I would go on to all of the social media and I would bag it. Yeah. So I'd have it first. That's what I would do first.
And one that you can spell as well, I always think.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of times the bands come through and I'm just thinking, how does that work? Someone like, because I get I get plenty of hate. I don't get so much hate on Facebook unless it's direct, but I get plenty of hate. But someone came through the other day and said about band names and called me an idiot and stuff. And I looked at his band name and I was like, you walk on stage and you say that band name, nobody will be able to spell it.
Yeah.
When it comes to band names,
it's something that you might not always think of.
Absolutely,
but it is really important.
Because people don't think about talking through a microphone.
Yeah.
So when you talk through a microphone, it's very, very different to talking like this. So, you know, and the other thing that I'm not a massive fan of is when bands make up a word for their band.
Yeah.
Because that's so difficult for someone just to hear it and go, I'll remember that, and on top of that I will know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing there is you're taking something visual that you're tied up in, that they're seeing on a computer, and they're going, this looks really good, I really, really like it. But you're not thinking about passing someone and them going, what's your band called? And you say the name and they go, yeah, cool, got it, and I'm away. You know, if I said agoraphobic nosebleed, you're going to remember that.
Yeah.
Because there's two words that have been put together that no one else is really going to have put together in a band format, and you can remember it. You can find them easily enough on Spotify, on YouTube, on Facebook. It's a very, very, you know, for their genre, it's an amazing name because it fits into that kind of, I'm guessing, death metal thing. And so therefore, you're not just making something up that looks good and then through a microphone or at a gig. You know what it's like as well. You're at a gig and the music's going and you're literally getting right in someone's face. And you're like, hey man, how you doing? You got to come and check out my band. Oh cool, what's your band called? And then you've made up some Agraburbers. You're like, what? I don't even know what you said. Like, what? How do I? Can you spell it for me? Can you write that down? Can you write down? Oh, have you got a business card? It's like all of it goes out the window. So first things first.
Make life easier for yourself.
Make life easier for yourself and make life easier for other people finding you. And then if you go online, do a search, go on Google, go onto any kind of concert apps that you can start finding out. Go on Spotify. Just take 10 minutes to actually search YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and Google, see what comes up, and make sure you search for band after it, because obviously that'll help. And then if it's not on there, you're pretty safe. And at that point, if you want a trademark, you can literally just put trademarking a band name into Google, and there are companies that do it. Pick your moment for that.
All right, and we are out of questions.
We are, except I did want to. There was one thing which Nick said, and he's messaged a few times this week about cryptocurrency. Okay. And I just want to say that I'm going to find out more about this, because this is above my pay grade. Cryptocurrency. So
I don't know anything about it.
You know, Bitcoin and stuff. One thing I do know is there is a Chinese all-girl band that now gets paid purely in Bitcoin. Wow. Yeah, it's really, really clever, and I think it could be something that does grow. The main issue I have with it is it's a little, at the moment, not saying in the future, you know, Britain is not as big on cryptocurrency as America or China and Japan, I think. We're a bit down on the list. But I always think of it as a bit like, you know, when it's Christmas time and you get a gift voucher from your gran. And it's always like, oh, you got a £30 gift voucher for you know, Marks and Spencer's or Next or something. Oh, that's quite nice. I got £30 that I can go and spend in Next. You could have given me £30 that I could spend in any shop in the entire world, but I guess I'll be going to Next. You know, cryptocurrency at this moment is a little bit hard. You can't just walk into the shop and actually start trading it around. It's not as easy. So, but if you wanted something that is a cool idea that people would actually get some PR out of, then you could get some. I think you could get some legs out of that, because I think people would be interested. The only thing is if someone said to you right now, do you want to buy the CD? And you said, yeah. And they said, well, we only take cryptocurrency. The first thing you're going to say is, I don't know what to do. I don't have any in my wallet.
I'm really interested to see where it goes. I think it's gonna become popular, but
well, I think it's just a very interesting thing. But but more importantly, it is above my pay grade, and it's not something that I've got a lot of experience in. But what I would like to do is I would like to go and find someone who is a bit of an expert in it and do a bit of an interview with them, because I'm really interested. And you know, I understand cryptocurrency as an investable thing to invest in, but I don't really understand it from a usability thing of just day-to-day trading for merchandise, or that bands can just turn up and use it at gigs and stuff. So that's something I would like to find out. So Nick, I'm not ignoring you, and I will find out more about it, and I will get some more thoughts and ideas of if
if it's got legs. But right now, I think the main thing for me, as you know, is always about the consumer. We are the consumer. If I'm going to see a band, and right now I wouldn't know how to use it, so I think it might just need a bit of catch up. But I think it would be really good as a PR story.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of miles of it. So cool. So if you've got some merch, send it through. We'll get it on the wall. If you've got any questions, hashtag Ask Damo. Good show.
Yeah, nice one.
Great. All right.
Awesome.
See you guys next week.